In my quest of organizing my comics, I came across a couple of stuff that I haven't read in years, so I decided to pull it out and read it. So, so right now we're looking at Image comics right now, and like I said, I used to buy almost everything from Image. So let me I want to show you something right here. This book right here. It's called Darker Image. Now the funny thing is, I bought so many copies of this. It's still in this. It's still sealed in the bag. So I have one that I actually read, and of course it came with a card. So I was like, oh, I gotta buy more than one copy, because in the '90s, something like this, oh, you gotta buy more than one, which helped lead to the fall of the comic book industry by then. But this thing contained, I think there's only one of these that has ever was done, Dark Image. The three characters: Sam Keefe, Jim Lee, and Robert Liefeld. We talked about Robert Liefeld in a previous post, and his character named Blood Wolf, which kind of looks like Wolverine / Lobo. Imagine that. Another Rob Liefeld creation. The story was kind of weird. Then we have the Max right here, which is a kind of a weird story by Sam Keefe. Sam Keefe was a very prolific artist and storyteller back in the day. He did Marvel Comics Presents and did a lot of Wolverine and Hulk stories. The Max became really famous and had his own little hit TV cartoon on MTV way back in the day. And it was strange. Like the book, it was strange. I don't even understand it. I read as many of these books as I can. I still didn't understand it. The cartoon watched, still didn't understand it. Matter of fact, here's the Max #1. I read this again for the first time in 30 years, and guess what? I still have no bloody freaking clue what this was all about. Like, whoa. But anyway, we'll get back to this. And then Death Blow by Jim Lee right here, who is one of my favorite characters. Out of all my Image characters, this is one of my favorites. If you like the Punisher, because Jim Lee used to draw the Punisher way back in the 90s, before his X-Men fame. So, pretty gruesome. But I want to talk about the Max a little bit. The strangest story. It looks like he was a superhero, but then again, it goes from like real world to the Outback, or something like the Outback, and he's fighting all these demons and stuff like that. Little demon creatures going after this, trying to save this girl named Julie, who's a social worker. Real life. After reading that, even after reading this book, I had to drink a beer. I had to drink a beer just to wash the weirdness away. But other than that, let's talk about, so that's it for that. Next, I want to talk about Shadowhawk by Jim Valentino. This was your street hero, so to speak. Now, this is #3 and of the series. First, it was like a couple series, and then boom, the second couple series and third. This guy right here was an attorney who got hurt. If I remember correctly, he ended up developing AIDS or something like that. He got AIDS. It was kind of weird how all of a sudden you get AIDS and you decide to become a superhero dealing punishment. But then again, he was a lawyer and all this other stuff. I can't remember bits. I can't remember everything about the story, but I do remember that. And this is like a gimmick cover. Yeah. And back here. See? Now it sounds the same, but believe me, the texture is different. Now the fun thing is, his storytelling is a little bit more interesting because there's actually background, mostly. There's a lot of background stuff. But this guy was your street hero, kind of like a Daredevil kind of character. street hero. And I believe what happened was at the end of the first series, the original guy dies, and then Shadowhawk #2 comes. And I'm showing it to you like this because this is a gimmick book as well, in which another person takes up the mantle. I think it was a woman this time who was a cop. And then what happens later on, you find out that Shadowhawk is kind of like a entity of spirit of justice, so to speak, that every century or generation it shows up and another person becomes Shadowhawk. That's what it kind of sounds like to me. But anyway, this was kind of cool. Jim Valentino's work on Shadowhawk was pretty cool. Then after a while, he stopped. See? It's out right there. You can see my eyes. And you put this here, and boom, look at that. Now, the funny thing is, I read this, and the funny thing is, it was kind of cool. Now, the cool thing about this was that there was this guy named Hawk Shadow. See, this guy named Shadowhawk, there was a guy named Hawk Shadow. And the funny thing, he wanted to rid people of crime, but the funny thing is he was also a racist. So he killed a black pastor because he was married to a white woman. He said, "I'll save you from this savage beast." "That's my husband." "Oh, sorry, I had to kill you too." It was like, what the fuck? When I first read that, I was like, what the hell? That's pretty mental. But, hey, what can you say? What can you say? All right. But if you're into street level heroes, if you could find Shadowhawk, it'll be a good read. Now, Brigade, the one video I did before, unless you really want to read it, unless you really like it, I suggest you don't go. I really suggest you don't buy it. I buy Bloodstrike because that was more interesting. They're dead. Imagine if you're dead. Oh, guess what? You're dead. You get shot up. No big deal. But it's not like you're a zombie, like Walking Dead zombie. The Max, I wouldn't recommend it unless you want a complete mind fuck and alcohol. Next, let's talk about Savage Dragon. One of my favorites by Eric Larson. Now, this is a guy who didn't really. Now, the thing is, he has a Spider-Man style character there. He has a Superman style character. He has a Batman and Robin style character to his and stuff. But Savage Dragon is kind of gruesome and it's also funny too. They also make jokes. Some jokes are really more funnier than others. And so I read this again. Let's see, I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah, this one scene right here. He says, "Oh, you're a dragon. Can you breathe fire?" So he takes some liquor and blows a match on him. I thought that was funny. Then he has a bar fight. He's drunk. Pretty snarky too. For example, this cop shows up at the bar and he goes, "You offering that?" And basically says, "Oh, get over your ex." She told him to get over. "Oh, we understand your girlfriend died." He said, "Well, you want to have sex?" And then of course it's like, it's kind of in a comedy. If you read it, it's like some people are like, "Oh my God, he did." No, it's more of a comedy. But if you want to laugh, this will be a good comic for you to read because it's actually pretty funny. And then after a while, he supposedly dies and goes to limbo, and God and Satan fight each other. That's like issue 32, 33, and 34, and that was funny as hell. And fun things, he drew God like in a splash page, says, "Don't fuck with God," and kick Satan in the nuts. And that was funny. I was like, I even got in trouble for I put that as a background as a background on my computer at work. I said, "Don't fuck with God." And what happened was that we had a meeting in which I had to do a remote from my computer. So I had to hook up my computer up to the projector and everything else. So I loaded it up. I didn't really think anything of it. Well, this is before we had laptops, but and so what happened? I hooked it up, and it comes up, and I was sitting here talking to somebody, and everybody's like, "What? What the hell? What?" And I look up, and it's like, "Oh shit! Don't fuck with God." And that was hilarious. Some people there's still a couple of people that was religious, super religious at my job, and they was freaking out. A couple of the brothers and sisters that was there, they were laughing their ass off. They said, "This is art all the way. We understand. This is our humor." But anyway, that was hilarious. But oh my god. Do I got time? Yeah. Let's talk about Death Blow. Out of all my favorite Jim Lee creations, this is one of them. Probably the best one. Because back in the day, he was part of a group of people who was part of a team called Team 7. The federal government and the black ops kind of wet work kind of thing, they decided, let's get these guys superpowers. So they sent them on a mission that they would lose, and they gave them all, and they end up with superpowers by experimentation. It's never manifested until this, not this book, but in his regular series. And what happened was, basically he's like a Punisher style guy. If you into like the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rambo and stuff like that, you will love this. Taking guns and I'm like, okay, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And then when his powers activate, it's like, damn. It's not that bad, but it's not that bad. Like super tough and stuff like that, but no big deal. That's not that big of a deal either, but it's kind of cool. Now, the big daddy of them all, Spawn. Todd McFarlane, he didn't want to do a limited series. He just said, "This is my regular series." Bam, one and all. At the moment, this is still the longest running independent comic book, with 312 issues so far. And the funny thing is that, actually, the funny thing was, this became so popular. So popular. HBO did a cartoon series on it, and the funny thing is, I have the VHS. At one time I had the VHS of it, and it was just like the comic book, brutal. And you could watch it on YouTube. You could just type in Spawn on YouTube, and you could actually see the HBO special. Someone just put it on YouTube, and that's pretty cool. I was like, oh, I could watch it. It's like an hour, and it's like 10 hours worth. And so what happened to that? And even they made a movie called with Michael Jai White in the mid to late 90s, which I thought was a pretty decent movie. I thought it was pretty decent, but a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was cool. And there's rumors of them making a new one with Jamie Foxx. And the skepticism is growing. But anyway, this is a great book. I like it. The only problem is it's a very wordy book. Very wordy, especially when he goes to this part where it shows like the media outlets, like CNN and The View and this other guy, and sometimes they change up. But basically, the basic story is man dies. Now the funny thing is, he was part of a wet works program, and the guy I talked to about Chapel was his best friend. That's how interconnected it was. His best friend was sent to kill him because he wanted to get out. He wanted to get out, have a life with his wife, have family, and his boss didn't like it, so he sent his best friend Chapel, which I talked about in another video with Bloodstrike, to shoot him and kill him. He makes a deal with a demon, and 5 years later he comes back to New York. And the funny thing about it, he takes off the end of, close to the end of the book, he takes off what he sees what he looks like for the first time. Not really, but he kind of sees what he looks like for the first time. But it's a really awesome book, and it does get kind of brutal. It does get kind of brutal. He kills this guy with ice. I forgot his name is Kincaid. He was a guy who served ice cream, and he used it, and he like abduct little kids and kill them. So he stuck this motherfucker with ice cream sticks. He killed him with ice cream sticks or something like that. He was killing people. He was brutally killing people, and it was gruesome. And that's one of the reasons why I thought it was pretty cool. If you could find now, I forgot. Somebody I was watching. Was it slotted up 503, 530, or 503? Was it him who was trying to collect the spawn run, or was it somebody else? I can't remember. The one thing about it is that I watch a lot of YouTubers who do comic book reviews and stuff like that, and for their special things that they try to do, I can't remember because it runs together with me. Everybody does mystery boxes, which is fine, which is awesome. I could determine which one double, but I forgot somebody. Was it Arrow Dragon, Retro Mole, or Slided Up 503, or maybe somebody else? I can't remember. Was trying to complete a spawn run. And the funny thing is, when I heard about that person trying to do it, I said, "Oh, Spawn 1. Let me read this again." All right. And actually, to tell you the truth, I bought this again, and actually, I bought it for $3 because Todd McFarlane, the guy who created it, had a special signing, which you had to mail your books in to get it signed. So what happened is I had to do this, cut out a hole somewhere here, and have him sign his name. End up didn't happen because of other reasons. Didn't happen, and I kind of missed out on it. But the thing is that he did a Kickstarter. Also, he had a line of toys at one time, McFarlane Toys, which even spawned into baseball, football, sports teams and stuff like that, which is awesome. That was pretty cool. Right now, they did a Kickstarter for a new Spawn figure, which I joined up on it, and once it should be coming here sometime next month. When it does, I'm definitely going to unbox it for you guys. Definitely will, because that is awesome. Because it's nice. But anyway, Spawn is a definitely read. Now, in my normal regular comic reviews, I always pick up Spawn. Now, like I said, I might be stopping Spawn in a while, but let me go for another 5 or 6 issues. And if it doesn't pick, and it's not interesting to me, fine, then no big deal. But anyway, so that's it for today for this video. This one's a little bit longer, but to me, I love the Image era back in the day because it was so new and exciting. Even though not every book was awesome, but then again, not every book that you buy today is awesome. And it's just the way how it is. You get it, then what happens 10 to 20 years later, you pick up that same book and you try to read it again. If you have any comic books that you read when you was a kid, pick it up again to see if you feel the same way. And if you do, then you know you picked the winner. If it's not, then you're like, what the hell did I buy this for? I don't know. With that, talk to you later.